Hola chicos, hoy vamos a hablar de los verbos irregulares. Specifically, we're going to talk about stem changing verbs. Now, before we get started, we're going to have to talk about los verbos regulares, which are the ones that we have been looking at. We're going to look at AR, ER, and IR, regular verbs, just to review. For example, hablar. When we look for hablar and we change it to conjugate it, first we find the root, which we do by removing the AR. Same thing with comer. Quitamos la ER, y vivir, quitamos la IR. And in order to conjugate, after we have the root, we just add the appropriate ending. For example, yo hablo, tú comes, y él, ella, usted vive. So we've been practicing this, therefore we know this pretty much. Now, we need to remember how to find the root because that will also be important for irregular verbs. So let's continue to stem changing verbs, otherwise known as boot verbs. So, ¿qué significa stem changing? Bueno, buena pregunta. ¿Qué significa? Significa que hay un cambio en la última vocal del raíz del verbo. The raíz del verbo means the stem of the verb, okay? And the última vocal, if we remember from earlier in the year, the last vowel, okay? Meaning the last vowel that appears in the root once you have removed the AR, ER, IR ending, okay? For example, if we want to find the vowel that changes in pensar, we remove the ending and we can find the letter that's going to change, the E, okay? Pretty basic. So, before we get started, we should know that there are three types of changes that could be made. The first change that we are going to look at today, okay, is the E changing to an EI. We will later see the O changing to the UE, and finally the E changing to the I. So as I said, we're going to focus only on this one change to learn how it works so we can do it later when we work with the other stuff. Okay? So, rodea la vocal. Rodea, if you see that, rodea, circle, the vowel that changes. So in order to do this, you're going to have your worksheet right now. So get your worksheet and work along with us. Okay? So, rodea la vocal que cambia. So we just have to identify which vowel is going to change. First with sentir, which means to feel. Okay? Sentir. Which vowel do we circle? Look at your worksheet and go ahead and circle the vowel that you think changes. There's only one. So there it is. Now, what happens when we have a longer word with more than one vowel? Despertar, meaning to wake up, we actually have two vowels. And as we said before, you have to circle the nearest vowel to the end, okay? So look at your sheet, circle the vowel, and let's check it. Excellent. Despertar. This vowel is the one that's going to change. Again, same thing, we have two vowels, but we have to take the one closest to the end on the right, okay? So which one are you going to circle? That one, the E. Perfect. Now, we have looked at this verb in the classroom because it's such an important and common verb. We've already seen how it changes, but let's remember that if you have a QU, the QU counts basically as one letter. So, which vowel is going to change? The E. Perfect. And the last one, just a little last practice, will change the only vowel in the verb that means to close, cerrar. Now, let's go ahead and get started with how these things change. Okay, we'll start with the verb pensar. Okay, we get the root of pensar, pens. Yeah? Now, we identify that the E is going to change in this verb. Perfect. So, how does it change? As we said, the E changes to an IE. So really, instead of just changing, we add a letter, okay? But it's good to think about it as a change rather than adding, because the other ones will change more radically as well. So now we have this verb pensar, okay? And what we have to remember with pensar and any stem changing verb is that even though the stem changes, the endings are going to be the same. So they will also have the regular AR endings that we have seen before. Okay? So let's move on. Pensar. Now, yo pienso, so we just add our ending. Pienso. Tú piensas. Él, ella, usted piensa. Now, if you look at your worksheet, you can see that you're supposed to fill out this verb and the changes that it makes and create the structure for the 6 forms. Make sure you have that worksheet by you so that you can go along with us. Pause the video if you need so that you can fill everything out and practice writing these verbs. So, pienso, piensas, piensa. As this is an AR verb, we have the AR endings. Now, here's the tricky part. Nosotros. If we look, what we will see is that the nosotros, and later we'll see that the vosotros form, they don't actually change in the stem. So, nosotros pensamos, vosotros pensáis, okay? And ustedes or ellos, ellas piensan. Okay, so this is where we are going to get verb. So, if we draw a nice little line around the verbs that actually stem change, we see that we sort of draw the picture of a boot. The 2 top ones are the ones that are actually left out. They are not stem changing. For whatever reason, they follow the regular AR form, okay? And the rest actually stem change, okay? So take a look, fill this out on your worksheet. If you need to take a moment and pause to do this, go ahead and do so. Okay, one thing that we didn't mention is pensar actually means to think. We forgot on the previous page in case you didn't know. So let's do a little more practice, okay? Empezar is another AR verb that has a stem change in it. You will see this on your worksheet as well, so please follow along, okay? It means to start or to begin. Usually it's empezar plus a plus the infinitive, okay? Now it actually has a synonym that we saw earlier, the verb comenzar. So empezar and comenzar are interchangeable. Okay, now empezar, we find the root, start changing the E to an EI. So if you go ahead and do that, you'll see that you get empieza. So we found that last vowel in the verb that changes. We added the I and stem changed it from the empis to empies. So we can go ahead and conjugate. Now, as we go through, before we go through, I really want you to take a second and conjugate this verb on your worksheet without looking at the screen and without looking at the video. So if you need to, pause it, fill it out, and then start again. So let's take a look. Okay, boot, and remember that 2 of these verbs don't actually stem change. Well, 2 of the forms don't stem change. So we have empiezo, empiezas, because it's an AR verb, and then empieza. Excellent. Now, as we continue, we will continue with the 2 that don't stem change. Empezamos, empezáis, and empiezan. So we see our boot verbs, and we see the ones that don't stem change. Check this to make sure that you did it properly on your worksheet. Okay? Again, 2 verbs don't stem change, and the rest do. Okay, let's do one more practice with the verb perder. Take a minute before I go through this and see if you can do it without any help. Now, before you get started, you should notice that the verb perder is an ER verb, okay? And it means to lose. So, make sure you pay attention to the fact that there is an ER and not an AR like the last 2 verbs, okay? Now, pierd. Check to see if you've done it properly. Pierdo. Just like AR verbs, it has the same ending. What about the usted, or the tú form? The tú form. Pierdes, ER. So, the last one would be pierde. Now, again, we don't stem change, so we have per, not pier, but perdemos, and perdéis. And finally, we have pierden. So, if you actually did this before we started looking at the video, check and make sure you did it right, okay? If not, you'll have a little practice later, okay? Two verbs here are not actually stem changing, and the rest stem change, like we have seen before. Okay? So now you have your worksheet. You have 3 little activities to practice changing these verbs. Okay? They all change from the E to the EI, and the person should be understood either in the sentence or you should try to figure it out with the context. Okay? So good luck, and we will go over this tomorrow.